chose Mark. I was going to preach on Mark. That was what I had chose many months ago, but I want to go a little bit lighter in church this week, so I chose a psalm to preach from. But I had done some work on Mark, so I thought, well, we'll share it with the Sunday school and go from there. If I could get somebody to just read it. It's Mark 12, 28 through 34. If I could get somebody to just read 28 through 30.
I can do that. One of the scribes came near and heard them disputing with one another, and seeing that he answered them well, he asked him, "Which commandment is the first of all?" Jesus answered, "The first is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength."
So Jesus could have recited any of the 613 commandments that's in the Old Testament, but he recites the Shema, which is an important prayer, which Jewish faith you would recite of a morning and you would recite of an evening. It's just affirming the Jewish people's faith in God. It's kind of like our Lord's Prayer or something. That was the one thing that I could have maybe... But how many of us recite the Lord's Prayer during the week? You do? Mm-hmm. Very good. Does anybody else? Do you do it every day?
Yeah.
I don't. That's good for you. Applaud you. But as I was reading this and as I was preparing, I thought, that's how Jesus taught his disciples to pray. So if we pray that prayer, even only if we pray it just once a day, not like the Jews would, pray it twice a day, of a morning and an evening, that would cover the basis, wouldn't it? It would take care of a lot of things. Now, to you, is it a separate prayer by itself, or is it is by itself? It's not with your other prayers. Good. So what I wanted to share with you is the Shema comes from Deuteronomy 6, verses 4 through 9, and this is actually one of the commandments that's in Deuteronomy. So I'm going to have Randy to read Deuteronomy 6, verses 4 through 9.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. Keep these words that I am commanding you today in your heart. Recite them to your children, and talk about them when you are at home, and when you are away, and when you lie down, and when you rise. Bind them as a sign on your hand. Fix them as an emblem on your forehead, and write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates.
So there's more to that than just what Jesus shared with the scribe here, but of course the scribe would have known what the whole thing was, what the whole prayer was. How does that speak to you? I think there's important elements in there that we should practice as Christians. I think reciting the Lord's Prayer maybe first thing of a morning would set our tone for the day in a little different situation.
I've always heard things that are important to you. You've heard of writing sticky notes and putting them all over your house. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's a modern way of this. Like if it's important,
I think so.
If it's important, it should constantly be on your mind. So how can you remind yourself?
I know some people have these, are able to use the alarm systems on their phones really well. So if you would set it a couple times a day, and when it goes off, you know what it's for.
Yeah.
Kind of be interesting, wouldn't it? Kind of, say, oh, my reminder to pray. Teach your children. Talk about it at home. And then talk about it when you're away. When you lie down and when you rise up.
You know, to me, this and even the last scriptures that we read, it's like, first, I mean, it's kind of simplistic, but it's hard to do. But it's like, if our spiritual relationship with God is important and growing, then we have to focus on that relationship throughout the day. And I feel that as I've gotten older, that's been more and more important to me, probably especially since the cancer. And nowadays, we just don't know how much time we have. You know, people are young, healthy people are dying from COVID.
You know, had one this week,
Yeah.
44-year-old.
Exactly. But as you get older, and once you cross that big 6-0, it's like, ooh. So anyhow, I just feel that we have to really focus on doing those things. And when we get up, we have to be thinking and talking with God throughout the day. I think it's important to have special time to pray, but it's also really important that we spend little quick moments with God as we're living our day every day. And the more effort we put into our relationship, the more of God that does actually get inside of us, and then we feel that presence. So, yeah.
I totally agree. Just the acknowledgement of, thank you for getting me through this today.
Yeah.
Like if it's midday, if something happens and it turns out well, or if it doesn't turn out well, still thanking that you got through it.
Yeah.
I mean, no more than just the recognition.
Yeah.
And it's like anything else. When you change the way you do something in your life, for a while it's hard to do, and then it becomes almost second nature because it's something that you've adapted yourself to doing. So I totally agree, Randy, that those are times when we need to pray, and then those are times when we just need to check in. Hey, or maybe it's not going so well. Can you help me out here a little bit? I'll leave it at that. Anybody else got anything? Basically, 28, 29, and 30, or what Randy read in Deuteronomy. Anybody else got any thoughts on it? Boone, you got thoughts on it? He's quite outspoken.
You know, I do think that in today's world, it's much harder to do that and to live that way than it was in biblical days, or even in like when we were kids. There's just so much pulling at us nowadays to get our attention, to take our time from, and you know, we got the Facebook, we got phones that are glued to us 24/7. We got all of the news telling us how bad the world is. I don't know, I just think in the simpler days, I've kind of, well, I think that people were generally more spiritual then, and it's, I think, evident because most churches are declining in numbers, and churches are closing up. So I just think, almost think that we're kind of at a crisis point where we really need to put forth the effort to be as close to God as we can. And it's going to take more discipline than it ever has in the past.
Totally agree. You know, we've created all these things that are supposed to save us time. but we're busier than we've ever been.
Yep.
But are we really doing more than, are we accomplishing any more than was accomplished 100 years ago or 200 years ago? I'm not so sure.
Well, no, because 100 years ago, people were growing all their own food and
Yeah,
baking their bread and washing their own clothes
and they still had time for everything else.
yeah, they made time, yeah.
Yeah. Now we have a laundry service where we launder people's clothes. We, you know,
Go to the
do
grocery
dry,
store.
dry cleaning and press clothes. I
I
mean,
mean, people, I guess they have chickens and get eggs, but people don't milk cows and,
there's not a dairy in the county.
No.
yeah.
People have housekeepers come in, do their cleaning, because they don't want to.
We do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because
Yeah.
we're too busy.
Yeah.
We want to do it.
I just don't like doing it.
So, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just all about perspective. It's all about priorities. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in church today. It's about praising the Lord, praising God, and through our aspects of our daily life, how we should be praising God. So, these do kind of tie together more than I thought they did when I chose the psalm reading. Let's take a look at 31 through 34. The second commandment, as Jesus calls it. Does anybody want to read? Casey, can you read?
Yeah, I was like, I never read. Sure, I was like, come on. The second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no. You said 31 through 34?
Yeah, go ahead and finish it out.
Okay. The second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. Well said, teacher, the man replied. You are right in saying that God is one, and there is no other but him. To love him with all your heart, with all your understanding, and with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself is more important than all burnt offerings and sacrifices. When Jesus saw that he had answered wisely, he said to him, You are not far from the kingdom of God. And from then on, no one dared ask him any more questions.
So the first part that we read is to talk and to give pay homage to the Jews. 28 through 30. And then 31 through 34 is really for us Gentiles. That it's more important than a burnt offering or a sacrifice. These things are more important. Have you ever thought about how much do you love yourself? You ever thought about that? You love yourself more than anyone else?
I used to think instead of love your neighbor as yourself, it should be love yourself as much as your neighbor. Because some people have it backwards, or I don't think people love themselves as much as they should. But that's getting off point. Yeah, ideally we love ourselves, and we.
Or do we?
I don't know. A lot of people don't.
I think we do love ourselves, but I think we also know our failings. So I think that we love ourselves, we eat more than we should. I feel like most people are really kind of self-centered, and everything you do is kind of all about me, what I do, how I do it. I want nice things in life. I want good food, a nice motorcycle. But yet, also knowing the failures, the weaknesses, the wrongs, the bad reactions. I think that makes it hard for us to love ourselves. I could think maybe acceptance is a better word, but I do think that people generally love themselves. And I think that's kind of a lot of the issues that we face in the world are based around jealousy and, well, you can't do that, what about me? So, I don't know.
Anybody else thoughts?
You could love yourself too much.
I agree.
Narcissist.
Yeah, I totally agree with
the
that.
only thing you care about is what you want, and you never think about anybody else. I think most people think of themselves first when something happens, you know. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. Well, how's that going to affect me, or what does that mean for me? But then I think a lot of people, their next thought is their loved ones or whatever, yeah. But, you know, like Megan said, some people just only care about themselves.
It's sort of natural, because you know yourself more than you know anyone else.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a complicated, I think some people don't love themselves, and
I agree.
that's
I
why they,
totally
that's why
agree.
Yeah, well, I think it goes with, people see you differently than you see yourself. They only see certain aspects of you. They don't see you at home when you have a meltdown, or you have you lose your temper or something. They don't see that part of you for the most part. So you know yourself better than everybody else does. So yeah, there are aspects of yourself that you don't like.
You know, I think about loving yourself, and to me, I think that's kind of, I don't know, that's worldly, as opposed to being humble, having an attitude of a servant. That's godly. So I guess in my mind, it's a little bit about worldliness versus godliness.
I was going with, you have to learn to be comfortable in your own skin, peace with yourself, before you can be loving to others. That was,
Yeah.
you're usually a step ahead of me, so. But yeah, that was kind of where I was at, is I agree that you can love yourself too much, like Megan said, and then as Casey said, maybe you don't love yourself enough, or Randy also talked about that, because you know your failings, your shortcomings. I think a good healthy love is an evolving love. It's always, it's in progress. You just can't say, oh, I love that dress. That's totally different than I love, you know, my wife or myself or my neighbor or my kids or whatever. So let's flip it to the neighbor now. We're not going to go through who is your neighbor. It's, I think, anybody you come in contact with, anybody that you are dealing with is your neighbor at that point. Are we good neighbors? You know, a few months ago, me and Trent was kind of in a pinch. I was baling hay, he was putting hay up, and there was a big black cloud coming. Well, your neighbors came to your rescue. We didn't call him, or maybe you called one, but
I called one, but he was getting ready to call
he
me.
was, yeah, so I mean, you know, the one come across and watched me all afternoon, and then, you know, when he saw the cloud too, he knew. So, you have that sort of neighbor. So how good of a neighbor are we to others? Does it depend?
I just keep thinking of the word empathy. Like, are we putting ourselves in their shoes, and are we trying to imagine how they feel, or how our actions affect them? If we, I guess that's what they mean by, if we treat them the way we want to be treated. Yeah, I don't know.
Do we in most cases? Treat them as well as we treat ourselves, or as well as we want to be treated by them?
Depends where you are, who you are.
I think it depends upon the circumstance, or maybe the person,
The neighbor or the self?
both.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I mean, that's cop out, but I think it's true.
Or what do we do in situations where if you help them, it's going to hurt you? Who do you choose? Who do you put first? Do you self-sacrifice for someone else, or do you sacrifice them for yourself? And which one's right and which one's wrong?
I think
Or is there?
that depends on the sacrifice and how it's gonna hurt you. I feel like it's probably healthy to self-sacrifice to help someone else, but it has a limit. How much harm is gonna come to you? Is it because that you're just not gonna get to go do something or take your nap, or you're gonna miss a meal because you're helping this neighbor bale hay? Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
But if it's harmful to you, then that may not be.
If it becomes an ongoing sacrifice,
Mm.
they knew when they came to help me and Trent, it was gonna be half hour, rush, get this done, and then on with their lives, on with our lives. Hay gets in, everybody feels good about themselves, and life goes on. If it's someone that needs you to cook a meal for them every day of the week, just one meal, but you gotta do it every day. And that's a little bit more self-sacrificing than it would be to pick something up or, pitch in and help somebody out. So it's something to think about. And I'm sure that's why, Jesus gave these two commandments to us. First of all, for the Jewish faith to think about that what they pray every morning and night is important to them. And then for us Gentiles, what we should do as Christians. With that being said, it is time to go. Goes fast. Randy, I get you to close this for us.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this Lord's Day, that we can come together and study in great detail your word. Thank you, Lord, for the message that you've given to us. I pray that each and every one of us will open our own hearts and apply this message to our lives so that we can be more loving and more accepting of others, and that we can follow your will when those opportunities arise. Lord, again, thank you for being with us. We ask that you continue to be with us in the service to follow. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.